I've worked out for the past 6 years, and this is everything I know. I've seen how the fitness industry overcomplicates everything. They don't prioritize the right things, and it's filled with so much nonsense. If you struggled with this at all in the past, it's for the exact reason. They just set people up to fail. It kind of sucks because a lot of people want to make a change, but they're not going to be able to because they just don't have the right frameworks in place. But don't worry, because today I'll show you how to steer yourself in the right direction, put in place the right systems, and focus on the right things. This way you actually see change. There really isn't any secret. You just need to focus on the right things, ask yourself the right questions, and work in alignment with who you are, man. If you can do that, you're not going to fall into that cycle of, oh, I tried really hard for a little bit and then just went back to how I was. This is what I think is most important. And if you answer these questions, you're probably gonna get in really great shape. We're gonna go from A all the way to Z, not B, Z. Okay, and we're gonna start with the first thing. Most people will skip over a lot of the parts that I'm gonna talk about. Don't do that. Instead, just set up these frameworks, man. First question that you wanna ask yourself if you're gonna actually make a change or do something is, are you committed to it? Are you committed? I'm gonna destroy my apartment for this video. This one's kinda lame. First step though, you gonna do it or not? It's worth answering. If you're not serious about this, if you don't actually care about it, how much effort are you really gonna put in? Probably not that much. If you clicked on this video, maybe you wanna make a change in your health, or there's something that you wanna go after. What is that for you? And then make sure that you actually care about it. So many people go into their New Year's goals and they last about 3 days because they never even took the first step. They never actually made a commitment to it. They had other things that they prioritized over fitness, and it fell to the wayside. Think about it like this. Would you kill your dog? No reason, just would you do it? I'm hoping the answer is no. But what if I gave you $10,000? What if I gave you $1 million? You're a tough bargainer. What if I gave you $1 billion? A little bit tempting now, isn't it? But the dog's a part of the family. You can never do that. That's because most people value their dog's life more than money. What we determine as important influences our decisions. That means some people are going to choose the money over the dog. I hate to say it, but I caved after 10,000. Show me the money, I'm punting him off a bridge. We're driven by what we see as essential. The things that we prioritize shape our actions. For example, you might want to exercise, yet if deep down you don't actually value it, you don't see fitness as something that you really want in your life, you'll consistently find excuses to skip your workouts. It's the way it is. We only act when we see something as meaningful to us. And since it's something that impacts every other area of our life, don't you think that should be a little bit higher on your priority list? All I'm saying is you have to care about it a little bit because we make decisions based off of what we deem as important. So if you're actually committed to this and you actually care about it, you're gonna rank certain things higher than others. And if you can develop a reason to make sure that this is important to you and it's something that you wanna make a part of your life, it's a change that you actually wanna make, and you don't wanna just keep staying the same, then you really have to develop and cultivate a reason that makes fitness actually meaningful to you. This way you raise its value in terms of how you see it. Because if you just keep seeing it as this thing that's oh, I gotta do this, you're never gonna actually do it. And if you can just do the first step of seeing its importance and seeing how it can positively impact you, as well as seeing the negative sides of neglecting it, then you're gonna be more likely to take more actions that help support you in becoming more physically fit and stuff. It is your choice, however, so you could say no. Here are your options. The world's your oyster. That's the message of today's video. So decide where you want to go. If you're committed, then you got to give yourself a reason to care and just find something that actually drives you. A reason that is gonna at least get you started, at least get you moving. One that kind of generates a little bit of emotion in you. My emotions! My emotions! Why do you care about health at all? Because if you can't answer that question and you don't actually care about it, you're not gonna make the change. It's not that it's hard, it's just that it takes a little bit of effort. And humans just take the path of least resistance. So it deserves some thought. Why is it important to you? Why do you actually care about it? How has it held you back in the past? How much better would your life improve if you just made a few changes and stuck to them long term? If you really weigh the pros and cons, you're gonna wanna work out more because it's just the best thing you could do. Just look at any story, whether it's Batman getting his parents murdered, any superhero movie, all have these crazy backstories that propel them forward to do crazy things. But Colin, I'm not a superhero. Not with that attitude, you're not. Go grab a cape and get out there. There's people punting dogs, man. And this is just how humans are wired to think. We create narratives out of our past experiences and give meaning to those events. Our brains are hardwired to think in narratives. Each story we tell ourselves comes with an emotional response that shapes the decisions that we make in the future. It doesn't have to be deep or anything, but if you have emotion behind what you're doing, you're gonna be able to move into action a lot easier because you act with emotion, not with logic. I mean, think about what people do when they try to make a fitness change. They're oh, I'm gonna eat this diet, I'm gonna be perfect from here on out. If I just do that, I'll have a six-pack. And obviously that would work if they did it, but they don't end up doing it, do they? We act on emotion, not on logic. And if you're just looking at this from a logical perspective, you're gonna fail. You're setting yourself up to fail because you're not appreciating the fact that you're human. We're human. We are going to break down, so you have to work in alignment with that and slowly make changes in the right direction, ensuring that you implement systems, routines, make it enjoyable, and focus on the right things. And that's how you get the results. Really making sure that it's easy for you to lock in behaviors and to slowly just kind of make it a part of your life. Even going down as far as 20 minutes a day, you can see a crazy ripple effect in your life. You should have some emotion behind it, a little bit of fuel behind the fire, if you will, and we can use that as fuel to take some action. So what can you do now? What actions could you take, even if they are really stupid? And then take them. It means actually moving, actually doing something with your body, making a change. Without action, everything just stays the same. But it's your life, you just gotta find the areas where you could improve, brainstorm an imperfect plan, and just start taking action on it. A little to-do list. Every time I write down a goal, I've always wrote down 3 imperfect actions that I could take to go towards it. And honestly, these things have been so stupid, but I can't even put into words how much they've helped me. Back in the day, I used to play basketball, but I could do like a one-hand dunk and that was about it. But I wanted to do a windmill. And to do that, you have to jump a lot higher. I had no real game plan on how to do it. I just wrote down my goal and then I wrote down 3 actions that I could take. One of the actions was play basketball to stay slimmish. Literally all I'm doing is like naming a cardio. When you're starting out or when you're getting back into it's the hardest part because you just have to get that ball rolling. You have to get momentum. And the best way to do that is to start before you're ready and to just start going after it. Start like tripping and stumbling and eventually you find your footing and you start to go. Working out, if you want to get like a body transformation, a great one would be to remove junk food from your cupboards. Stupid actions, but if you take them, they're gonna make a difference because they're getting the ball rolling and then Isaac Newton's gonna take care of the rest. He's a cool guy. And once you're in motion, you're staying in the motion. You have a thing you want, actually care about it, go for it. This is nothing new, but let me tell you why that's so important. If you can do that, you're slowly gonna start to make it a part of your life. With every action, you're slowly building your identity and your sense of self. The more times you can work out, the more times you can keep your word with yourself and do these things that mean something to you. And the more you can just take actions of when you're working out, eating in alignment with your goals, the more it's gonna become a small part of who you are. And this takes a while to get, so if you really wanna see the results, you gotta slowly make working out like a part of your identity. You know, every single day I wake up and I do a little workout routine. And this is really all you're trying to do. You're trying to make a small shift in your identity and like how you see yourself and what you value. Because if you're someone who shows up and goes to the gym every day, then you're gonna get the results that you want. And that kind of sounds like it's like this big overarching change, but it really is up to you because it's like who you want to be. So you just determine like how much of fitness you want to make a part of your life, and then you slowly like add that into your day. You know, it can be as small as like 20 minutes and you can still eat processed food and stuff, whatever. Basically what I'm saying is it's your life. And most fitness people will try to make you eat a strict diet. And I mean, I understand why, because obviously like if you were perfect, it would be awesome. But I think that you want to make these changes a little bit slower and kind of slowly chop into the direction that you want to go. What you do is going to have an effect. So you want to be aware of it and make sure that you're taking more of the actions that are going to help you become the person that you want to be. That's why we ponder on this. What is it that brings you to where you are? Really just the decisions and choices that you made on a daily basis. But it's a little bit deeper than that because every single choice and decision that you make, it reinforces your identity and how you see yourself, leading to more of those decisions in the future. And that's the thing, like how you see yourself, a large part of it had nothing to do with like you. Like you didn't actually decide how you got here for a large part of it. These events that happen to you and they slowly like put you onto a path, and next thing you know it, you have this idea of who you are and it might not be serving you. You know, like you might end up like being overweight and then making jokes about being overweight or saying like, oh, I don't work out, or like, I mean, there's a million ways you can put labels on yourself, but it's really not a big deal. And if you're not where you want to be, there's no need to feel bad about it. All you have to do is see it for what it is. Like, you know, I am where I am. I was led here by the actions and decisions I made in the past and some of the habits I ended up forming. Then you say, okay, now let's go in a different direction and start implementing systems, habits that are going to bring you in the direction you want to go. If you do that, you're going to see results really fast. And I want to help you out by showing you some of those things that we can do. Now we talk about goals. So all this is to, you know, get a little bit of momentum, get the ball rolling, but then you want to get a little bit of clarity on where you're going. Simply by having a goal, you increase the likelihood of your achievement by a large percentage. It's actually kind of nuts. So we're going to take advantage of that and add it to our wall, which a lot of people don't like, but this is just really to get a direction and see where we're headed. And then we create a system around that. That said, clarity and knowing where you're going is gonna allow you to take more actions in that direction. And slowly by like figuring it out, making like little adjustments in your approach, if you can keep persevering, like you can get there eventually. And this video is like 6 years of stuff I learned, but one of them is that there's a lot of power in just writing something down, really having a meaningful goal and going after it. But the main thing, the reason we're doing it is just to get a direction, to see like what we want and where we're going. And it starts with writing it down. So step 1 is to write it down. I'm talking pen to paper. Step 2 goes back to what we were talking about before. Write down a reason why you care about it. This is the goal that you chose. It's something that you want to achieve, and it's a place that you want to go, because if you go in this direction, like the goal doesn't matter, but who you're going to become in the pursuit of it does. So why do you really care about this goal? Like, who is it going to make of you in the process of going after it? And you just really got to think, like, why is it important to you? Really just like coming to care about it, because if you don't care about something more than some of these like hyper palatable foods or easy entertainment or all this stuff that comes up in our lives, if you don't care about it more than these easy things that are available to us at every corner as marketers, just like shove stuff in our face to really take advantage of how our brains are wired, then you're gonna fall victim to it. I mean, food tastes good. Everybody loves food, and it's never gonna go away. The only way to make that easier is to have something you care about more. But I won't beat a dead horse until I talk about something that I've already talked about again, and that's taking perfect action. So you got your goal, you got why you really like care about this thing, and then 3 more actions that you can take and start taking action again. But if you just did that, you'd end up giving up on it, because motivation is not there forever. This leads us to our next step, which is developing a system and habits. You use that initial motivation to get you over the first hurdle of just getting the ball rolling. But if you don't set up habits and systems and routines, it's really likely that you fall back to your old habits. This is awesome, but you're just fantasizing in fairy tale land if you don't have a system to help you get there. So do you have a system to help you get there? So get a goal that really means something to you, write it down on a piece of paper, and then what do you have to do to get there? Like, what are the small little actions you gotta take on a daily basis to get to the outcome you desire? And then you create a system for that too. And you rip it out and you put it in a place that you see every day. Habits, bro, habits. You gotta set up a consistent gym habit if you wanna be consistent in the gym. A great book for this, Atomic Habits, and it's probably like the most read book in the world. And that's for good reason. It's because it actually works. Some people say that habits are lame, but habits are so cool because they are, how do I put this into words? They basically determine your future. It's so sick. It's so sick because what you do on a consistent basis, like we already talked about, your choices and decisions, they lead you to where you are. So if you can get good habits, you can gain so much control over your life because you focus on the inputs and what you're doing on a daily basis. And that leads you onto a path that you actually want to go in. You actually like get better and you improve, and it becomes part of like how you see yourself, and then you do more and more of it. So it's all about like, so it's actually cool, okay? I still have some habits I need to work through, and I'm not like perfect or anything like that, but just to like give you a little flex to show you like how like impactful these things are and these little changes are. Like I went from not being able to do a handstand one year to doing a handstand push-up. And in that same year, I was also tracking like my YouTube habit, and I went from 0 subscribers to 200,000. And it's all about just making little changes in your day, slowly making it a part of what you want to do, and finding a way to make it maintainable and sustainable. That's like the key thing. Maintainability and sustainability, you should tattoo on your forehead. As you're getting tatted up, how do we do this? Well, first let's understand what habits are. They're simply actions that we repeat often. They start with a cue that makes us crave the behavior, leading to the action itself, and then they end in a reward. This makes good habits harder to build because it takes longer to get that feedback loop of a positive reward at the end. As we pursue these goals, what you really want to do is get a positive feedback loop that rewards the behavior you want to implement. For example, we're trying to work out. So create a little system that's going to help you do it. So I have this like system that I go by, that I've kind of lived by. This is how I implemented it into my day and started making habits. And I ended up making other habits for like YouTube videos and stuff. For the gym, this was my habit board. I would start it with something that I already do every single day. For me, that's waking up, but you could also do it after you eat lunch. You could do it after you got off work. As long as you do it, it doesn't matter when you do it. There is one key distinction I would really want to make clear. You want to do it immediately after something you already do. So I'd wake up, I'd drive to the gym, not even showering. I'm dirty like that. And I'd drive to the gym. The cool part about this is it takes not that much effort. It's not that hard to do, because once you drive to the gym, you're probably not going to drive away from the gym. Most people won't. This can be different as well. If you don't go to the gym, you could just lace up the tennies and put in some good music. So we already do this one thing. We immediately move into something that's easy and not that hard to do. And then we're gonna move into something that's fun. And that's a ritual, something you do right before the desired behavior, like working out, that's fun and enjoyable. For me, I'd always drive to the gym and I'd drink a pre-workout or a coffee. While I did that, I would listen to motivational videos and just get all hyped up. But I can't really tell you how much this has been a game changer for me, especially with like some calisthenic skills that I was trying to learn. For instance, like the one-arm handstand against the wall, my least favorite exercise. It's a hard exercise. It didn't stand a chance against my motivational ritual though, because I would get wired up with my headphones in my ears, and then I'm drinking a little bit of pre-workout, even more wired now, and the ball is just rolling in my favor, and I just go straight into it, see it as a challenge, and you tackle the hardest lift that you got. This is the purpose of the ritual, is to make it fun, make it seamless, and allow you to just go right into your next habit, which is gonna be working out for a short period of time. James Clear calls it like starting small. Everything on this list is something you can do every single day, and it's easy. And if you work out for 2 minutes and you don't feel like working out anymore, then you go home. I think you'll find that if you just keep doing this every single day, these little tiny check marks, it's gonna slowly morph into how you see yourself. You're gonna see yourself as someone who shows up, goes to the gym, and like that's just what you do. And you're gonna like wanna take more actions that allow you to get stronger and more muscular. All this stuff that I'm talking about that isn't fitness related, it's really to avoid that problem that happens again and again. I work really hard, I try a diet, and then I go back to how I was. Or like I try to make this change, but it doesn't really work out, and I go back to how I was. But if you can just do a small version of that, I wake up, I drive to the gym, I do my little ritual, I work out for 2 minutes. Like that's just an enjoyable thing that takes literally 10 minutes of your day. If you can just do that 10-minute thing every single day, it would completely transform your life. It'd have a massive ripple effect, and that's why no off days is great advice. If you're just getting started out, you should work out every single day, but just work out for a little bit, like a little chunk. Like every single day I wake up and I work out for 20 minutes. Because every single day you're laying a brick on who you want to become, and it's a lot bigger than it might seem, the habit of working out. So much more important than what you do. Say like, I'm here, I want to go here, and then start implementing good habits that are going to bring you there. That's what it's all about, and the beauty in habits is that you can build them slowly over time, and it's not really this thing that takes a lot of effort. As we continue, does your environment reflect what you're trying to achieve here? Does it support you? Because if not, it'll probably hold you back. You want to make sure that like your environment is supporting you and who you want to be. And by having your system, like a little piece of paper out on your kitchen table, I even go as far as I have a massive whiteboard in my kitchen. I took it down for this video, but it's a massive whiteboard. Personally, I love it. That might be a bit much for you, but if you're not willing to like put a piece of paper on your kitchen table that reminds you to do the actions that you want to take, then I just don't really understand, because why wouldn't you want to support yourself in the goal you're going after? It's a fact of human behavior. Like if you want to set up a habit, you need to have a trigger or a cue that kind of sparks your mind, and you're like, oh, I need to do this thing. You know, and then you see that thing, it leads to a behavior, and then it leads to hopefully a positive feedback loop if you can stick with this long enough. That's why you have an environment that supports you and who you want to be. Our environment comes in a variety of different forms. There's the physical environment, you know, just the things around you, like your kitchen and your apartment and stuff. This is why meal prepping is so popular, because they cook up these healthy meals and they put them in their fridge, and then they don't have to think about what they're eating. They don't get decision fatigue, and it's just easily available. It's like right there, so they end up eating it. Then there's the social environment, who you surround yourself with. I really love the gym, mainly because like when you go there and you see everyone working hard, it just makes you want to work harder. And if you have friends and stuff that are really supporting you, like it's gonna make it like 5 times easier. And then there's a bit of a newer thing, which is just your digital environment, which nowadays is like even more relevant than ever. If you're watching this video right now, it's probably gonna prime you to take more actions towards like your fitness goals, because all I'm doing is blabbering about habits and fitness. It's really interesting though. I wish they had more studies on it, but it's like a very new thing. And I don't think people really understand like how deep it is. Most like kids nowadays are getting raised more by their phones than they are like their parents, I think. And it's gonna be a very scary world. I'm talking post-apocalyptic when those Cocoa Melon kids grow up.
Cocomelon!
Not trying to scare you straight, just trying to say that what you put in your ears has an effect on what you do. So the more good stuff you can put in your ears that, you know, supports you and what you're trying to achieve, the more actions you're gonna take in alignment with that. But really all we wanna do is get control of our environment, because it's shaping us in who we are, whether we like it or not. So getting control is crucial. It's like the most overlooked thing, even though it has such a massive impact. I think it's because it's so simple, but your environment definitely shapes who you are. So if I was gonna do like a fitness thing, I would wipe my physical environment clean. I would do it in 2 steps, just remove and replace. If it doesn't support you and who you want to be, you remove it and you replace it with a better alternative. See it for what it is. Does it support you and where you want to go? And if it doesn't, then remove it and replace it with something else. And that's all really dependent on you, because everybody has a different place that they're trying to go. Next step, are you working like a smart individual? This is key, essential, a vital nutrient of our tower we're building. You might think that like you can overcome your environment, but this brings us to the point we were talking about in the beginning of this video. We don't really have self-control, not to the extent that we think. So many people think that they are just gonna be perfect, but they end up falling victim to the fact that they're human. There's a bunch of books on this. The main one that's like thinking fast versus thinking slow. Essentially, we have an emotional brain and a logical brain. Emotional brain is the one that's in control. The analogy that a lot of people use is like an elephant and a rider, you know, in Aladdin. You can try to steer that elephant in a certain direction, but it's an elephant, you know, and it's gonna go where it wants to go. You have to work with it. You have to work in alignment with your emotions, and then also like kind of trick your little monkey brain into doing the actions that you want to take. Because we really only have so much willpower. And especially towards the end of the night when, you know, you had a long day or something, you're more likely to take negative behaviors that aren't really rational. Instead of doing that, you want to really look at your day, see what you're doing on a daily basis, and try to like see where you went wrong. Because it's not really your fault. Like obviously you're emotional, you're human, you're gonna make mistakes, but there was a problem in your system that led you to that. There's a problem in your day that maybe you used up too much willpower and now you're just going on a downhill spiral, or you're just thinking in a negative way, or your environment was not supporting you. Like there's a ton of ways that stop us from doing the things that we wanna do, and just slowly refining your process and what you're doing on a daily basis is how you can get some good results.
So you don't have to be perfect, but it does mean that you got to understand yourself a little bit. Recognizing your impulses, pausing to think, guiding your decisions in the right direction, and planning ahead to make sure our elephant doesn't go bananas. Because we have to make sure that we get the thing done that we need to do. So as we continue on, we want to make sure we have space for it in our day.
If you want something, you got to make time for it. Especially if it's something you want, something that's important to you. In that case, showing up for it, having a little bit of time in your day for it is another vital nutrient. So is it a priority? What you should be getting out of this is work with the grain people. And focus your energy, prioritize your time, and focus on the right things too. Most people are gonna look at their workout routine, look at their diet, try to make it perfect. If instead you focused on the long term, you focused on setting up a system, routine that you're able to stick with every single day and grow and improve with, eventually it becomes automatic. It becomes a part of what you do. And once it's a habit, there's no sweat behind it. It's just what you do. And you can do that by time blocking it. Implement this into your day by setting up a chunk of time where this is what you do. And this is an area that impacts everything else in your life. You know, it's gonna allow you to be more active, allow you to do more things. I don't know how much time you wanna spend on it. What is that for you? But just finding a time in your day where you're like, this is what I do. Find the time, chunk it off, and protect it. You really guard it and you say like, this is what I do in this period of time. Because you know if you show up and you do those little things on a daily basis, that it's gonna have some big effects and some big rewards. And if you can do that for long enough, eventually you're gonna develop more passion for it. But you wanna make that as fast as possible. Like you wanna enjoy this thing. It's something that, it doesn't matter who you are. Like there's a way to implement something that you like into working out. And then you're just doing what you want to do. Seriously, like working out is not that bad. It's pretty fun if you just make it fun. So is it fun, or are you making it more difficult than it has to be? And if you don't like it, can you make it enjoyable? And are you really gonna stick with something if you don't enjoy it? Or have you ever stuck with something if you like actually hated it? Probably not. So any of that fitness advice where it's talking like, just do the hard work, discipline, I hate my life, like they don't actually dislike working out. Whatever, we gotta find a way for you to enjoy this thing. And this really comes down to incorporating the things that you love, getting a positive feedback loop, and developing intrinsic motivation for the thing. If you have a fire playlist, it's gonna be impossible for you to not like working out. Some people are podcasters when they work out.
This is all dependent on the person, however. So find a way to add a little spice to it. When I first started to love it in college, I would go, I'd work out, I'd listen to some good music. Immediately after, I would reward myself with a little chocolate protein shake and look at myself in the mirror. I was starting to see some progress. It gave me something positive to look forward to every single time I went. I'd be like, oh, cool, I gotta get a cool pump, and then like stare at myself in the mirror. Sign me up. It's different for everybody. And some people won't see that because when you start out, you don't really see the progress. But you can do it in other ways. So find a way to reward yourself for your effort.
If you're starting out, that's a great goal to have, is to find some form of improvement. It doesn't really matter what it is, but you wanna see something on the other end of your effort. You wanna get a positive feedback loop that makes you wanna come back for more. You're gonna see it in the mirror if you keep going, and you're just slowly gonna develop evidence that you you show up and your work is worthwhile. And once you get that loop completed, like you'll be locked in and this behavior is gonna be pretty much set. To help you in this, like you just want to develop that intrinsic motivation and drive for the thing that you're doing. Intrinsic desire can be developed. In psychology, they call it self-determination theory, but you really just want to have autonomy, relatedness, and competence in what you're going after. Trying to develop that as you go on. If you do all the things we already mentioned, you're slowly gonna get there. Really just make sure that you're doing your own thing, doing your style. You might not like it right now, but you can enjoy things if you just like get good at them. The better you get, the more fun you're gonna have. And then like I was saying before, with your environment, your social environment, just, you know, having people around you that support you is gonna help you as well. And it doesn't even have to be in the fitness sphere, just having like a support system. So enjoy it, all that's great. And then, you know, there's gonna be times where it's not like 100% easy or, you know, it's a little bit difficult. And that's when you can really just be disciplined and work hard and like, you know, just try your best at it. You training? This one is like how you do it. So I'm just gonna put that on the wall there. But I will shut up and talk about fitness now. All that stuff's great, but if we don't hit the key markers and do some stuff in fitness, we're not really gonna get that dream physique we desire. As you're making these changes, slowly making it a part of your life, here's some things that you can focus on to really, you know, get that bod and stuff. For resistance training, you just gotta find your style, find the way that you like to do it. But really, challenging yourself and trying to get to the next level, whether it's with calisthenics, weights, or even a mixture of both. Honestly, you can even do other stuff and still look good. But in terms of like building muscle, you gotta do some form of those. And it'll help you with every sport that you try to go after. So really focus on that progressive overload. If you're not challenging yourself in the gym, you're not gonna really see the progress you want. You wanna slowly get better and better. Like that's where it gets fun because that improvement is addicting. Really just find what you think is cool and then dive into it and try to improve at it. A great way to do that is by focusing on compound lifts. These are any lifts that work multiple muscle groups, like the pull-up, push-up, bench press, squats. Having these main lifts in your routine is a pretty great place to start. It's really easy to see where you're at and to slowly improve at them, whether it be your form, doing more reps, having more time under tension, or just adding more weight. You're able to see your progress. And I would even go as far as to record your main sets, knowing if you're improving or not, and being able to see that your progress is worthwhile. And then recover. Making sure that you have a training split. I was talking about how working out every day is great for setting up that habit. That said, in terms of muscle recovery, like working the muscle 2 times a week is the best. And you want to give your muscles time to recover at times, at points. You know, if you're feeling achy, maybe just go for a walk. Sitting on the couch, I wouldn't really call recovering. You can always do something, so just like go for a little walk and make sure that you're keeping the habit of staying active. By having like a training split, whether it's push-pull legs, upper body, lower body, or full body routines, cool way you can break up your workouts so you're giving your muscles time to recover. But always remember that the habit of working out is more important than the workout. So don't worry about it not being optimal and just listen to your body and rest really. And if you really want to supercharge your results, like get some good sleep. Sleep is basically steroids. It's insane. And all you have to do is sleep. And it makes you feel more vitalized, gives you more energy to tackle your workouts. It has a really positive impact. And I will say for the training, like it's all great. It's all gonna help us like grow and get stronger. But it's so individualized on what you wanna achieve and where you wanna go. Learning it along the way is how you get there. Everyone sees this as a big deal because there's those science-based lifters who say that it's super important to make sure you're getting the like contraction and stuff. Or any science-based lifter on the internet is, I'll just say it, like I don't have any respect for them. It's just so pointless and stupid and they're focusing on the wrong things. It's like the 80-20 principle, you know? If you just showed up and did your workouts every single day and ate in alignment with your goals, you would see more results than 99% of the population. And you get in shape and you get the body that you really are proud of. Yet the majority of the industry is selling you on stuff that just doesn't matter at all. Like how you move your elbow and making sure that you got the good contraction there is so freaking pointless. Like just lift the weight. It's 2 + 2 = 4. It's like, it's always gonna equal 4, man. And that goes for diet too. Like all the stuff out there on diet is so overwhelming. And it's crazy because it's like not even like misinformation. It's just there's so many different approaches that you can take. Does your diet support your training? Would be the next question you'd wanna ask on this journey of duct tape. And if you have a good diet that's supporting your training, it's gonna make it all the better. So let's focus on this. Step 1 is to throw everything that you know about diet out the window. Gone, done. I even did it myself. And then we really gotta boil it down to the key truths that matter in us getting the results. And here it is, the only thing that really matters is what works for you. Finding a way to eat in alignment with your goals and hit that calorie number that you set for yourself. And to do that, you need to understand what your maintenance calories is, like how much calories it is to maintain your weight. And then whatever direction you want to go, you're going to be eating more or less calories. Calories in, calories out, and that's really all there is to it. For this, you find the situation you're in, and then you find the path that you want to go towards. If you're starting out, you're either normally skinny fat, or overweight. When choosing your path, you got to find where you want to go. The options are bulking, cutting, or body recomposition. So you find out what you want to do, and then you take that path. Bulking up is just, putting on mass. Then there's cutting, which is eating in a calorie deficit, burning more calories than you consume. And then a body recomposition, which is a small calorie deficit. Small enough to the point where you can still build muscle and burn fat at the same time. So just find where you are and then where you want to go. And then make sure you really nail down these key behaviors of working out and eating in alignment with your goals, because these key behaviors are the only things that we really need to do if we want to get this body transformation. Where all the fluff, garbage, and diets come in is in the approach to get there. All these things, they can work for some people. It's about finding the approach that works for you and finding a way to make it maintainable and sustainable. Because we're all hungry, right? And you've probably eaten a diet before in the past. It sucks. Doesn't it suck? And so that's when you start talking about food composition and macros. And I would even boil that down too. So your calorie number is the only thing that matters. If you eat this amount of calories on a single day, and some people even stretch it out to a week, but if you eat this many calories in a day, then you're gonna get closer to your goal. So you really wanna track that number. That's an important number. So you wanna be at a healthy body weight, and you do that by eating the correct amount of calories. It's the number one thing, is the calorie number that you're eating. Because eating too many calories and then gaining weight and being overweight can lead to a lot of negative health effects. If you really wanted to, you could eat Krispy Kremes and lose weight. It's just that eating Krispy Kremes is gonna make it about 5,000 times harder to do that. Think about it. They're super high calorie, they don't fill you up, and they taste really good, so you're gonna wanna eat more. There's no limit to how many you can eat. You can just shove your face full of them. And then on top of that, they don't really have any protein, so they're not supporting your training. That's why you wanna eat more satiating foods, and those just happen to be healthier foods. It kinda sucks, but eating healthier foods is gonna make you look better, it's gonna make you feel better, and it's gonna keep you fuller for longer, which is really the key when you're trying to do a cut or something. You wanna be fuller for longer, because do you like being hungry? And these foods, they taste so good, and you think you need them, or you like them, but really it's just they're designed to make you gorge. And all those food companies are testing these things to make sure that they're as appealing and tasty and crunchy and savory as possible. They understand that most people think off instinct, and then they try to take advantage of that by, making a product that it might be poison and might be terrible for you, but it tastes really good. So I think it's cool to eat those time to time, but if you want a goal, it's gonna be hard to get there if you're eating those foods. We don't wanna make our goal impossible. We have to find a way to make a routine that allows us to eat more of the foods we want, hit our calorie number one. That's the most important, to hit that calorie number. Lastly, macros, what do you really need? For gaining a little bit of muscle, all you need is some protein. Make sure that every single meal that you're eating has some form of protein. So you can eat leaves if you wanna do that, but it's not really gonna be supporting your training. At least throw some beans or something. I don't know what vegetarians eat for protein, but you get your protein in. You're gonna get it in if you just focus on having protein in every single meal. Just make it a priority, because it's the most important of the macros. So it's a 50-50 split. It's developing that gym habit and then making sure that our diet doesn't kill everything and ruin our lives. Stay vigilant, people. We want you aware of your diet like the neighborhood watch. But this diet thing's pretty tough. I would really break it down and really make sure that you're tracking it and getting aware of what you're doing. If you're not aware of what you're eating on a consistent basis, it guarantees that you're gonna gain weight. Some of you are foodies, some of you just love to eat. Most people do, because these foods are designed for us. So they're gonna taste good. And on top of that, eating out in social settings is another thing too. So what can we do about it? The first thing I would say is to just get aware. Simply by the act of being aware of what you're doing, you're gonna start improving it. Once you see that muffin at Quick Trip is actually 510 calories, you're not gonna eat that muffin anymore, even if it is delicious. Or a box of cereal. If I just have a box of cereal in my cabinet, it's gone by the end of the day. It's actually gone in one sitting. I have not ate a bowl of cereal without eating the entire box since it's probably been about 3 years now. So I try not to buy cereal, but I'm aware of that. But I am well aware of that because I've had some plumbing issues because of it, but whatever. So you're aware of it. Just writing down what you're eating is literally the first step. Having a piece of paper on your kitchen table and just writing it down and writing down the amount of calories. Or you can use the fitness apps and stuff, but I really think that putting it a part of your physical environment is very helpful, especially when you're initially making the change, because an app on your phone is not very obvious, so it'll be hard to stick with unless you can consciously remind yourself to go on the app. Step one, once you get a little better, you can start to really track your habits, your diet, and your training, and make it a little bit more seamless and have a little bit more fun with it. If you really do this right, it could be like a video game. That's why they're so addicting, is because they give you constant senses of progress. It's just that tracking is a hassle. A lot of people find different ways to deal with this, or they find a way to make tracking a part of their life. Tracking is crucial because if you're not hitting that calorie number, then you're not going to be going in the right direction. By tracking what you're eating, you're going to be making more of the decisions that you want to and eating more of the foods that help you out. There's a few ways that we can do this. Meal prepping is like the bodybuilder way, you know, the chicken, broccoli, and rice. Having those meal preps in your fridge of the correct amount of calories and like, this is just what I eat. I don't do it because I actually just don't know how to cook. But what I do is I have like a little meal routine, so I get aware of what I'm eating on a piece of paper. And I'm just aware of it. I know exactly what I eat, and I know exactly how much calories it is, and I know that it's enough protein. And I pretty much eat the same thing every day. Really simply, I track what I eat. And some people like to do that on the MyFitnessPal, on the little app. It makes it really easy, and it scans the codes and everything. And simply the last one is looking at the scale. If the scale number goes up, it means you're eating in a calorie surplus. If it goes down, it means you're eating in a calorie deficit. That one is like the most simple approach, but some people really aren't in it for like all the jazz. They just want to, you know, get a little skinnier. Really just finding out what works for you is the number one thing. It's the only thing that matters. And as long as you're like getting to that healthy body weight that you want to be at, or going in the direction that you want to go, who's to tell you what system works and what doesn't? Can you make your system routines better or make them more maintainable? That is a great question to ask. I'm glad you asked. Okay. All this stuff comes up. It's really about looking at like where you're at, what you want to do, and then how can you make that maintainable and sustainable? How can you support yourself by eating the right foods that allow you to get to your goal? Instead of eating some of these foods that just hold you back, and some of these foods that might taste good in the moment, but like what are they actually doing to you? And I'm not just talking about like how processed food's like really bad for you. I'm just talking about like it's probably gonna make you gain weight. And we're trying to look diced here. So if you have the habit of eating these foods that are really tasty, you're gonna eat more of them. And if you keep eating in a calorie surplus over time, that's just gonna put you in a direction where you're overweight and not in a really ideal situation. Whereas if you just kick out some of these foods and replace them with better alternatives, the ripple effect that would put you on a better path where you're, you know, athletic, have that six pack, and you're doing all the things that you wanted to do. And if you can do all this, then you just gotta keep coming back. Until you get it set up, until you get a feedback loop, until it becomes fun, you get more passionate about it. If you just show up every day, if you just stay consistent, you're gonna have more evidence that you're a person that shows up and does the thing. It really means everything. So you gotta go out there, take the actions, focus on the inputs and what you're doing on a daily basis, and be patient with it. And then when you do slip up along the way, which is inevitable, kind of pick yourself up when that happens and get back on track as best you can, and really lock in some of these habits and make more of the decisions that you want to, so you can really go in the direction that you're trying to go. Because it's up to you, and you're deciding every day with what you're doing. It's gonna be a reflection of the choices that you make, and time's gonna pass anyways. So you might as well set up some cool habits for yourself right now. But the choice is up to you. So, like, what do you want to do? If you do all this and you go through the process of answering these questions, you could look like a jacked guy with a pilgrim hat. And if not, then I guess you can still buy the hat. Thank you for watching. This was a video.